We're going to do a little grocery store tour. Now quickly, before we even go into the store, 2 tips, Mark. Have a list and don't show up hungry. You ever noticed any personal experience with that? Yeah, we tend to buy a lot more if we don't do either of those.
Right.
Okay, so first tip, shop the periphery of the grocery store. That's where we tend to find more of the fresh produce, fresh breads, fresh meats, dairy. We have to be a little cautious with deli items. They tend to be higher fat and higher sodium options, especially with the preservatives that we see in deli foods. So we're going to want to look for lower sodium deli meats. Sometimes there are lower sodium cheeses available, and when you do select cheese, select a stronger flavor cheese so you can get away with using less.
Yeah, good idea.
All right, let's head into the produce.
Okay. Kary, there's a lot of prepackaged products that are fresh, that are here on the shelf versus the actual fresh produce that's out in the stand here. Can you explain the differences there for me?
Yep, absolutely. So I think it's a matter of degree, right? So if you have the time and availability to get the really fresh stuff, wash it, prep it, that's going to be your better option. It's going to be fresher and maybe have slightly more nutrients because it's fresher. We get different nutrients with different groups of color. So lots of reds, and that's going to give us lots of vitamin C, like the apples and tomatoes and bell peppers. Lots of oranges, going to give us lots of beta carotene, so the carrots, the yams, the butternut squashes, the greens, the leafy green vegetables, the spinach, the kale, Swiss chard, broccoli, going to give us lots of vitamin K, some lutein, going to give us lots of folic acid, and then we like the purples, so the berries, the grapes, and they'll have lots of flavonols, good antioxidants. So all you have to remember is the more color, the better.
The more color, the better.
Yep.
There you go.
How many different options of breads, right? I mean, literally, there's dozens.
Right.
And so let's look at some of these breads. The other tip for bread, I want to see at least 3 grams fiber, 3 grams protein per serving.
You know, firefighters are looked at as the meat and potatoes kind of guys.
Oh yeah.
Meat at every meal, you know, you have to have it, or if you don't have it, it's not the complete meal, and they don't get full. What hints would you have, or helpful ideas would you have about choosing meats and so on and so forth for the firefighter doing this part-time diet?
Yep, you know, we want to make sure we're trying to focus more on the lean meats. So, you know, the white meat chicken and white meat turkey, those are going to be leaner. Those should be more of a staple. And then the red meats we use a little less often, maybe once or twice a week. And the less marbling, the leaner it tends to be, right? So if we look at a steak, it should be mostly red. We want to try and avoid too much marbling, and that will indicate that it'll be lower in saturated fat, which is the not so hard healthy fat.
Right. Okay, good.
In general, people are eating fish 2 to 3 times a week. That's what we're going for. I mean, sure, get some darker colored ones as well for the omega-3s. But people sometimes get overwhelmed with trying to say, well, do I have enough salmon and tuna versus the halibut and whatnot? And so if you're getting a variety of fish, you'll be meeting your omega-3 needs. Yeah. So Mark, I get asked a lot, you know, what do I think about frozen versus canned vegetables versus fresh? And there is sort of a hierarchy, right? So we see fresh tends to be best. Frozen's actually pretty comparable though, because it can be picked fresh and frozen right away. So you'll still see a lot of good nutrients found in the frozen. And then I would say canned is sort of a third option. It tends to be not as fresh. Sometimes you'll see added sugars or added sodium. So they can be good every now and then, but try and get more of the fresh, more of the frozen.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, Mark, I hope this was helpful today.
Very much so.
Great, great. So just a couple key points to keep in mind. Come prepared, so don't be hungry, and have a list. Make sure you know what you're gonna get. Try and shop the periphery of the grocery store. That's where we tend to find more fresh foods, trying to minimize the packaged foods, and get used to reading labels. Look at added sugars and added sodium. Get used to reading the fat content, the sodium content. And the more you will become so much more educated just by reading food labels, and that can be a great tool for the consumer as well.
Awesome.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.